In the face of isolationism, protectionism, racism, the simple concept of looking outwardly and beyond ourselves, of kindness and collectivism, might just be as good a starting point as any. Jacinda Ardern.
Welcome to Casa de Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. # handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back to Casa de Confidence. This is Dan.
Hello, this is Julie.
What's up, babe?
Babe, what are you, Sony Bono?
Sony Bono.
So I can't even say it right now.
It's Sonny
Bono.
Yeah. Apparently, just call me Sonny today.
You are Sonny. You're the sunshine in my life.
Aw.
Hey, do you know who Jacinda Ardern is?
Jacinda Ardern? Of course
Yes.
I know who she is. She's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. You know how I know?
How do you know?
Because you just told me about 5 minutes ago.
Well, do you know why I picked her?
Because she speaks about kindness in that quote.
Yes, and we've been talking about kindness, but more importantly, I am sending some incredible good vibes to friend of the show, our client and friend in real life, Jane Pilger, who is the host of the Binge Breakthrough podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And she is actually in New Zealand right now.
She is. Oh, so
Did you forget about that?
you have a double. Oh, I knew she was traveling. I guess I didn't. I didn't know where she had. Oh, that's right, because her episodes are about New Zealand.
Really? Yeah. So her next adventure to New Zealand, the one thing is Jane had been training over the past few years to go to New Zealand. And she, unfortunately, a couple of things happened, and I'm not going to go into the whole story because I want you to go and check out the Binge Breakthrough podcast, which, again, she talked about her adventure to New Zealand, and she's going to be competing there.
It's such a great podcast.
Mm-hmm. One of my faves in my normal rotation. And not just because she's my client, but also, I have been her coachee. She was my coach and I've worked with her in the past. And I have to say, if you've heard some of the quotes that I've shared when it comes to the currency, discomfort is the currency of our dreams. That's a Jane quote. And I have that so present in my mind. But anyhow, it's not all about me today, Daniel.
You're talking about Jane.
Oh, I guess I am talking about Jane.
Oh, look at you. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Goodness.
Let's talk about me.
Yes, let's talk about you. What's up with you?
I am here this week, and I know it's been out of the last 4 weeks, I've only been part of one episode. So I've been a busy boy.
The last 4 weeks? You've only been a part of one episode?
That's it.
Get the heck out.
Actually, I think at 5 weeks I've been part of one. Something like that.
Wow.
I don't keep my own stats. But I'm happy to be here today.
I am happy that you are here
with
today.
You. And
yes. Hey, Daniel, we need to go on a date.
A date?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to seduce me right now?
Always. Hey, first of all, I got in bed last night and you were so cozy.
Well, I was sleeping. That's what happens.
Yeah, you were sleeping.
Yeah. You know what? I sleep well.
You do. You do sleep well.
I'm a good sleeper.
You are a good sleeper. Good for you.
Well, thanks to my CPAP.
Yes. Hey, your CPAP is actually not loud at all. I have to say that.
No.
And I think that a lot of people may think that people in the CPAP world would be making a lot of noise, but you don't.
You know what would be loud?
What?
If I didn't use my CPAP.
Yes, sirree. Well, wait a minute. You know what? Do you have your loud moments, especially if your mouth guard or thing is not in properly?
Well, yeah. It's not
and then
a
I
mouth
have
guard.
to go in and shove him.
I don't have it in my mouth. It's a nose.
Oh, in
pillow.
your nose. Well, but that's what I'm saying,
I need
right?
to get more supplies. It's my little nose pillow I've used a little longer than I should have.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to get resupplied.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, you know what?
I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
It's such an honor to be back. And, I've been working on the weekends with my daytime aerospace job.
Yeah, those aerospace people want you in there, don't they?
It's a necessary thing. So in last week, my computer.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
Oh, geez. My video editing computer took a big poo all over my desk.
Mm-hmm.
And not literally, but figuratively.
Wow.
And I had to restore the whole kit and caboodle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things on my computer that allow me to do this thing that I do here at home efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it takes, you know what the thing is, if you have a small business and you carry a lot of data, the saving grace here is I have a NAS, which is a network applied storage. Mm-hmm. Invest in a NAS if you have a business and you want to save your data. Because if you don't have that NAS and your computer dies, you're probably going to lose your data. So, and it's made things, you know what? I really take my clients' data seriously. I never want to lose that. So yes. I save it in duplicate.
Triplicate.
Well, triplicate, but I have it on my computer. Then I have it in two other spots outside of there. So it's very important. So get yourself a NAS.
Get yourself a NAS. I didn't know that was the brand. I thought that you had just named it that for whatever reason. I don't know.
NAS, there's two types of storage. There's network applied storage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also DAS, direct applied storage.
What's the difference?
Well, direct applied just hooks straight up to the computer through like a USB or something like that. But this NAS, I could actually, if I wanted to open it up, I could actually access it from my cell phone. Or if we're away on a trip, I could access it from the hotel. But I don't have it set to do that because, well, it's not the way I use it. So, but don't you love being able to just store your stuff on the NAS?
Listen, as long as it's efficient, I don't care what you use.
Well, that's the cool thing. I get done with a video, and then you can get the video on your computer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
From there, so it's just easy. And I'm geeking out, and I'm boring people with the NAS.
Yeah, you know.
All I'm saying is,
yes,
protect your data.
Hey, what are you getting me for Christmas?
What am I getting you for Christmas?
Yeah,
I have a couple ideas.
You have a couple ideas. I know two things that I want, but I don't want to tell you.
I know one thing you want, and I think I'm pretty sure that you want it. And
really, what is it?
Really, I'm not saying it.
Say it.
No.
Well, give me a hint.
I'll give you a hint.
You were so willing to give me a hint on Wordle today.
I was,
which I didn't like.
Sure, you weren't going to get it.
Listen, my brain got it. And I did not need your help.
Subconsciously, my hint allowed you to solve your
Oh, whatevs.
So anyway.
Okay. So listen to me.
Yes.
What is my hint for what you're getting me?
I'm not giving you a hint.
Why?
First of all, Christmas isn't about what you're getting. It's what you're giving.
I'm giving myself to you. Jesus, that sounded terrible. Oh, so Lord,
I'm going to give you this Christmas. I'm going to give you the true Christmas experience, and we're just going to be here for each other.
Wow. Okay.
How's that?
Well, you forgot my love language, apparently. Oh, my goodness.
I better order the thing quick, huh?
Yeah, you better.
Problem is, if I order it, and you'll know what it is because.
No, you're going to order it through Amazon?
You know what? I'm going to go locally. I'm going to source this locally. I'm going to support my local merchants.
Exciting.
And that's what I'm going to do. And you know what? That's exciting. I got to go out, got to go into a store and actually pick a thing up. Give them money. You know what? I'm going to go to the ATM, get some cash. I'm going to do old school. I'm going to go and hand them cash. They're going to go, whoa, what is this? I don't touch this usually. Well, give me some of it back and the item. And it's going to be like the good old days. You know what, though?
Yes.
These are the good new days.
What are the new days?
The good people talk about the good old days. How about the good new days? These are good days too. Every
day is a good day if you think about it being a good day.
Yeah.
I have something exciting to tell you.
I've successfully deflected the question. Okay. What's exciting? What are you going to tell me?
Okay. So I am not sure if this is the correct person, but I was invited to go into the Chris Voss show.
Okay.
You don't know who Chris Voss is. Never split the difference. He is that FBI negotiator.
Oh, yes.
Right? That wrote that book. And I don't know if that's for real. I got an email saying, hey, Chris Voss would like to have you in the Chris Voss show. And I'm wondering if it's the same Chris Voss. But how many Chris Vosses could there be?
Well, Chris, it's like true crime stuff, right?
He talks about sales.
Okay. I'm thinking of a different person.
Yeah. So, prior to his 2008 international kidnapping negotiator for the Federal Bureau.
This is the guy I'm thinking of. I've heard him he's the CEO of Black Swan Group.
Yeah. There you go.
So he's from England.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I listened to the book.
I'm sorry. He is not from England.
Yeah, there you go. I'm
sorry.
So. That's okay.
He's from the United States.
Oh, my God.
The company
is
registered in England.
Correct.
So
he is a negotiation mastery. And he was just on Andrew Huberman's podcast, Succeed at Hard Conversations.
Yes.
What's one of the hardest conversations you've had?
One of the hardest conversations I've ever had? Well, I don't want to bring it all down. The hardest conversation?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple. Conversation with my mom when my brother died. She told me because I wasn't living locally.
That is a hard conversation.
And a hard conversation was finally when it got through that my first marriage wasn't going to continue. So, yeah, that was a hard conversation.
But listen.
It took me a long time for that to get through.
Jane is right, though, right? The currency of your dreams was having the difficult conversations. And not to say about your brother, but I'm saying about your first marriage,
Of course.
But definitely, that's, you are living the life of your dreams being married to me because you had that hard conversation. Her loss, my win. God, that sounded terrible, but she's a nice person.
You're the winner.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So you know what?
I'm the wiener.
Okay, so today's guest.
That was not double entendre, by the way.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Today's guest, we talked about mastering spiritual health and how that helps us achieve true work-life balance. And, our guest has been around for a long time in media. He was a radio DJ for a long time.
I was hearing that while I was editing.
Did you like his voice?
Yeah, it's got a good voice. It's got a good setup too.
Actually, he's got to have a good setup.
You guys need to, when you're listening to the podcast now, but you should go check it out on YouTube too, because Joe's going to put the video up.
I sure am. And you know what? One of the things that I really like that we talked about as well is that when we discover our authentic voice, that kind of gets us set up for the journey to our sweet spot. And he really gives us some really great tools, and he helps us unlock something that is the key to success. So I'm going to let you listen because he does go over this. What is the key to success? And of course, I talked about believing mirrors in this episode because you know me, I love that concept. Anyway.
Well, what you just said, what is the key to success? It reminds me of one of our earlier episodes when we were warming up.
Mm-hmm.
When I said the key to tequila success, the keys to success, you thought I said tequila?
Yeah. Listen, I guess that's where my mind went.
It was
tequila. Tequila success.
It was the key to life, I said.
The key to life?
You said tequila life?
Because we were talking about what were you drinking?
Oh my gosh. Actually, that you threw that video up on YouTube also.
Yeah, go to
Julie's YouTube. What is your YouTube channel?
Casa de Confidence or Julie DeLucca-Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Julie just throws raw video up there. I don't edit it.
No.
She just chucks it up there, and if you feel like seeing see what we look like, there we are.
Well, this is going to be
mostly Julie, but
it's mostly. Well, there's some Dan in there. Maybe we should do more. Maybe we should do more
life.
Tequila life. Maybe we should do more videos again, Daniel. We haven't done videos in a while.
Yeah, we've never formally, done the effort and walk down that aisle. But
we walked down the aisle already.
We did.
You want another aisle with me?
We more formally help others. We're doing the editing for people who have podcasts, but we haven't actually done it formally.
No, we have not.
For you or me.
Yeah, we have not done it formally. And by the way, we are wrapping up the year, and guess what we're doing again?
What are we doing?
We are doing the 12 Days of Christmas.
We are?
Yes, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, my friends. We are going to celebrate them.
Cool. How are we going to do that?
The same way we did it last year.
Oh, yeah? 12 releases?
12 releases.
Cool.
And you know what I also wrapped up this week?
What'd you wrap up?
I wrapped up a really cool workshop. It is called the 2025 Build My Business Plan. And we had some great conversations, and I taught individuals to know how to structure the day to be more productive rather than busy, to create an outline or blueprint for their business and life, and how to build relationships to build your business and get clients. And then, of course, I put it all together, answer questions, and help the attendees build their individual plans, which I'm really excited about. And if you missed it, I encourage you to send me a message on any of the social media platforms, or Julie@goconfidentlycoaching.com is the email, and say, I want to watch the 2025 Building My Business Plan workshop, and I will send you the videos and the workbooks.
I want it all.
I have it all. I'm married to you.
It now. How's that song go? I don't know the song.
I don't know.
It's from the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was in the Transformers movie or some karate movie or something like that.
Yeah.
If you recognize that, just throw it in the show notes. If you guys recognize that, if you're listening on YouTube, throw it in the comments.
Yeah, throw it in the comments.
Maybe you don't recognize it.
I don't recognize it at all.
It's by Queen.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I Want It All by Queen.
Yeah, you're right.
Jeez.
Listen, I think that we need to really be able to grow in, I don't know how, I don't know what to describe, what to say. Hold on. In order to have the successful life, and success doesn't mean money in the bank. Success means that you're living the life that is congruent with your values. And I want us to think about what we can do, right, to visualize when we do our goal setting, because I think, and this is something that we talked about with Steve in this episode, but I think that, we need to look at how we really want to show up and what we truly desire. And this is the one thing that I think we go wrong. And this is why we fall off the wagon many times with our goals, is because we don't reflect on what we truly desire. But anyway, all these concepts are in the episode. And Daniel, thank you for being here and for being the producer of the show.
Well, it's an honor.
Always an honor to be with me. I know. I understand.
I know. Just to be in your presence, to soak it up day by day.
Listen, this episode is for anyone who is either an entrepreneur or just someone looking for daily motivation. It's packed with insightful tips, and you are going to find the good vibe in this conversation. So small shifts, daily habits, everything. So I can't wait to really dive into this.
All right.
All right, my love.
On to the interview with Julie and Steve.
Welcome back, my friend. I'm so excited that you're here because have you ever seen your desired outcomes really come to life? And have you ever planned these things that you want to achieve, but somehow you kind of get derailed? I want to tell you that my guest today is the person that is, number one, takes you back to basics, and he uses visualization and humor in his teachings to help you reach that vision. He's a keynote speaker, and let's jump into the interview with Steve Gamlin.
Thank you so much, Julie. Great to be here. And I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I know that people just heard you say hello. I know, but did you work in radio?
The funny part is I did. I was in the radio industry for 10 years, but here's the part that most people laugh at and they think I'm lying. I wasn't actually an on-air DJ until my 8th year because I did not have this voice and I had zero confidence and I was really good behind the scenes, but I was deathly afraid to actually be on the air as a DJ.
Wow.
So I wish they say, oh, you got a radio voice. And I say, it's a darn shame I didn't have it when I was on the radio, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Very cool. Very cool. I always love speaking to people that have different backgrounds, right? Because that's what makes the world go around. Now, I saw something about you, and I want to know more about this. What is humor coaching?
Yeah, humor coach is something I love to do, and I used to do it for free. And it goes back to my work in radio as a comedy writer. 7 years of stand-up comedy. One of the things that a lot of speakers struggle with, keynote speakers, professional speakers, is how to use humor appropriately and effectively. So I've actually carved out one of the pillars under my business is helping speakers to craft humor and deliver humor appropriately and to find the funny in their presentation. So that's one of the hats I get to wear, and I love it. To see somebody take it and go they'll call me back and they go, oh my God, Steve, you were right. Pause an extra second, wait for the laughter. And oh my gosh, it worked. It was gold.
Ooh, that's good advice. That's good advice.
I love that. I love getting to be a part of seeing other people succeed.
Well, you and I are definitely aligned. Helping individuals succeed is something that definitely drives me. I love being able to know that the person with a dream can actually make it come to fruition. And I will say, I love comedy and I would like to believe that I am funny. But now that you're saying this, I don't know if I'm waiting a minute for people to laugh. I think I just go right over and keep going.
Well, that is the style.
Okay.
It's how I used to be at first when I started in Toastmasters, when I first started being a speaker.
Yep.
And I started stand-up comedy at exactly the same time as speaking. And I was in a competition in Boston, a comedy competition, and somebody asked me how I did. I said, well, let's put it this way. I got through 5 minutes of material in 3 because I didn't pause for any of that pesky laughter and applause that usually gets in the way.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that when we are speakers, we have this content, we have this thing that we want to get out. And sometimes it just gets ahead of us. And really, we have to remember that it's not about us telling the story, but it's about the people receiving the information that we're sharing.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to give them time to absorb it. And we forget that it's not just the people right in front of us. It's the back corners. It takes a little bit of time to get into the shadows. And sometimes a pause can be the most genius thing you do. And I learned that. And as soon as I got the timing down, we're off to the races. Because if you invite people to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that applies to speaking or comedy or even in coaching.
In coaching, you're right. Yeah. Very fun. You've had a journey, and I'd love for you to kind of unpack a little bit of how you went from, and what was there something in between, Steve, from being in that radio career to now you being known as the motivational firewood guy. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, what was in the middle, and I've got a couple of birthday candles on you, is if you remember the cartoon Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Of course.
Okay.
My dad's favorite, by the way.
Oh, well, then
yeah,
I love that because that was my favorite too when I was a kid. I was on the radio in the industry for 10 years. I also had a DJ business that I started on the weekends because radio is notorious for not paying any money.
Yes.
I worked 6 or 7 days a week for 10 years and burnt myself right into the ground.
Yeah.
And in a very short window of time, I walked away from my radio career without any plan at all, other than my little $11,000 a year DJ business. Also went through a divorce. My first marriage ended after 7 years, and I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt.
Wow.
And it just crumbled. I mean, nobody to blame but me. I jumped out of the plane and figured out I didn't have a parachute halfway down. So I wound up moving back in, living with family. And that was the early 2000s. And in August of 2003, in a very, very self-deprecating and self-loathing and self-torturing frame of mind, because I destroyed my life, I had $3 left in my pocket on a Friday afternoon. It was very hot and humid up here in New Hampshire. And I decided to take out my frustrations on a bucket of golf balls at a local mini golf place that had a driving range.
Okay.
And I went to the farthest tee box on the property so I wouldn't dent anybody's car because I'm a horrible golfer.
Yeah, so you and I both.
Yeah. So not only was I up against the safety netting, but I was underneath this row of steel-towered power lines.
Okay.
And a thunderstorm started. Rain, wind, thunder, lightning. Oh, yeah, the place to be. So here,
oh my
here I am,
gosh.
barefoot in the wet grass, under power lines, in a thunderstorm, hitting golf balls, and everybody but me ran from the storm. And at one point, I just held up my club and just looked at the sky and said, "Go ahead, I dare you." Wow. Like, I won't take myself off, but if you do it, oh, well.
Oh, wow.
And nothing happened. So I hit my bucket and the buckets of 2 guys that ran from the storm and never came back. So I spent an hour swinging as hard as I could, hitting golf balls. And when I finished, I got out to my car and the rain stopped and the sun came out. And I just started laughing.
Wow.
And the next day, one of my first calls with a brand new life coach, I was his first client.
Okay.
And he asked, "How was your week?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you what this moron did yesterday." And in less than 5 minutes, I told this story of that hour. It was very self-deprecating, but it was hysterically funny. And when he stopped laughing, which is something as a coach you shouldn't do when somebody's life stinks, he said,
true.
"Have you ever thought of being a motivational speaker or a stand-up comedian? I think you'd be really good at both." What he didn't know is when I was 11, I wanted to be a radio DJ, a stand-up comedian, an author of my own books, and a teacher of people. He didn't know that.
Check, check, check.
And I had already been on the radio, and my first book was almost ready to come out. So these were the last 2.
Wow.
I said, "Yeah, but I have no idea how to pursue it or if I'm even good enough." And he said, "Well, on my desk in the junk mail pile, there's a brochure for a local community college. I just looked at it. They have an intro to stand-up comedy class that starts in 2 weeks. Will you go?"
Wow.
I said, "Yeah." And then he asked, "Have you ever heard of Toastmasters?" And I said, "Kinda." He said, "There's a chapter a town away from you that's one of the most successful around and one of the most talented. I think you should go." Did stand-up for 7 years, was in Toastmasters for 8. And this summer is celebrating 20 years since my first speaking event.
Wow. You've been around the block, Steve. And I love that, kind of, and I can see this is how, or kind of the direction that you landed with what you do today, because you, as a young child, had this vision, will we call it, of things that you wanted to do. And I think that for so many of us, right, we have a picture and the world happens and somehow that picture gets lost. I'm finding a lot of women in particular, and I was there at one point, I kind of woke up and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, is this joyful? Is this what I wanted? Oh my gosh, this is so far away from being what I wanted. And I think that we deviate. How do people and how do you help individuals sort of connect with the vision, the goals that they have for their life?
It takes a lot of quieting the noise. And one of the first things I tell people, I said, look, go find somewhere quiet you can sit for even 30 minutes or even an hour if you can. And go somewhere where people don't know you. Leave all things electronic that will buzz, beep, vibrate, or otherwise distract you in the car or at home.
Even better.
Sit there with a pen and paper and start to think about the things in your life maybe you wanted to do or be or have at some point in your life that really excited you, but maybe you got away from it. First question is, ask yourself, do I really still want that? Does that still fire me up? And it doesn't mean you throw your life in the dumpster like I did and go pursue something else. I mean, I had no plan. I just was falling apart. So but see if there's a way to even tap into that a little bit. And then think about where your life is now. And I work with a life wheel, pretty standard tool in personal development. Just give yourself a rating from 1 to 10 in your physical health, your emotional well-being, your closest relationships, the core values. Are you operating in accordance with what you truly believe? Your faith, which is very similar, your connection with people, and your work and your movement. Just evaluate where those are now, and then start to think, where would you like each one to be in a year? And don't you dare write 10 for all of them.
No, you can't.
How would you like to improve it? In 1 year, where would you like it to be? That's where I start with people. And I start to hear the stories. And one of my earliest coaching conversations was with a woman at the time in her mid to late 30s, which is the sweet spot for people wondering, am I doing this? And she's an accountant, and she was working 60 plus hours a week, burning out. She said, I want to chuck it all and go work with disabled children. But I can't. She said, I can't because money-wise, she could never earn what she was earning, and she needed the money. And so I asked her, I said, how badly do you want to do that? She goes, I would love to do that. And I said, okay, why don't you research some nonprofits in your community and see if any of them have events you could go volunteer for? 2 weeks later, she sent me a picture of her with a group of children, special needs kids, at a bowling alley.
Fun.
Having the time of their lives. And she said, I'll work 65 plus hours a week if I get to do this on a Saturday morning at least once a month.
That's awesome.
So it was just getting a flavor, getting what I call the slivers of time. Just put that back into the recipe, into the mix. And you have no idea what that could do for you.
I agree. I think sometimes our society says we got to do either or, but I'd love to believe that there's room for yes and, right? And we just need to reimagine what it could be like. And sometimes we need someone to be able to help us with that. I love that you do the Wheel of Life. It's a very powerful exercise. And if you don't know what it is, my friends, you can either send the message to Steve or I, and we'll send you one.
Perfect. Exactly.
But it's a great exercise. And I have to tell you, as a perfectionist, high achiever type A personality, when I do the Wheel of Life, a lot of times, and I'm picturing my Wheel of Life right now, there's areas where my wheel is not a wheel. It's like kind of discombobulated. How do we motivate ourselves to kind of, and again, I believe that our areas of life, we need to prioritize them. And that's kind of what happens. And a lot of people don't understand in what rank these areas of life are to us. And yet we're trying to act in a different way, right? Like we say, spiritual health is important, but we never go to church, right? So I think that that's where people go wrong. But if spiritual health is, let's say, something that's important to you, or community, being in the community, it's important to you, and you like me, you're like, oh my God, it's going to take so long to go do that. How do I do that? How do we motivate ourselves to move forward?
The first thing, and I love that you also use the wheel, is because the phrase I keep hearing, and I can't believe I'm still hearing this all the time, I need work-life balance.
Yeah, I hate that.
Work is one, life is comprised of 7 others, but yet people lump it in as though it's 50-50. So I love that you have however many spokes on your wheel as well, because there's so many versions out there. Here's the thing I tell people. I said, look, there are, the way I teach it, these 8 areas. They're all operating 24/7. And here's the cool part, because people freak out. They go, oh my gosh, I got to set goals for all these. How about if I just do one at a time? They're all so interconnected that when you go to improve one, it actually increases the odds that you're going to find success in the others, because it's not going to, and a big thing about visualization, to me, it's not what you get necessarily, it's who you become.
Yes.
And if you choose, and this is what worked for me, and this is the story I share with everybody. Say you choose to take better care of your physical health. You exercise a bit, maybe you reduce some of the things that might not be contributing to your health, you get better sleep, and you drink more water, and you eat better food. Okay. So you sleep better at night. When you sleep better, you wake up more focused with better energy. When you do that and you go to work, you can work more efficiently and your focus is good. When you do that, you can potentially earn more money. When you earn more money, you can buy back a little time, take a little vacation, or have special time with the people closest to you. And if you do all of your business dealings in alignment with your core values, meaning you never have to look over your shoulder or wonder what you said to somebody, and also your spiritual values, which they're basically the same, but one comes from a different direction. You're going to experience better emotional rewards all the time, and your connection with people is going to be better. So because you took care of your physical health, you just impacted all 7 other areas of your life. That's the thing that I stress to people right on when we start. Little shifts.
I love it.
Yep.
As a tiny habits coach, little shifts, you're speaking my language. And I think that, again, we think we got to go big or go home, but the reality is that our habits, and we talk about this a lot in the Tiny Habits Academy, that our habits are like plants. You put the seed in the ground and you start to water it. And yes, there's a lot of other things, like the weather that, have an impact. But the reality is that if you are really being consistent with watering your plant, you're going to have something that kind of grows up and around and becomes bigger. But it's so key to know that you're not necessarily getting something, like you said, you're becoming.
Yeah.
Who did you become in the process of being a coach?
I became a much better listener to people. I became, and I am by definition, and I've heard this from people who are, I am an empath, and I'm very impacted by energy around me, whether or not I can see it or even be aware of it. And I also learned to be very careful with that if somebody I'm coaching is in a very difficult place, for me to not sink down to that level, but do my best to reach a hand out and help them elevate a bit. I tell them they shouldn't feel that way, but start to offer suggestions. It's kind of like when you see right after a thunderstorm, it's all the dark clouds still in the sky. But then that little tiny crack happens and that little ray of light comes through. As a coach, I learned very quickly that is what I need to be. Is to just be that light, no matter what's going on, to understand and to allow them to feel their feelings, but show them a potential way they could alter their gaze a little bit and what they're looking at. That's one of the biggest things. And then people started to say, oh my gosh, you're the greatest cheerleader ever. I'm like, well, I don't have the legs for it, but I appreciate the compliment. I am forever cheering my clients on. And if I sense, if I feel, if I see them on social media and I just get this feeling that there's some bad energy there, I won't comment or like or anything on that, but I'll come down here to the recording studio, get on camera, and just coincidentally shoot the video message and drop it in their DMs. And what I always hear is,
you and I are very alike.
Yeah.
Now my clients know that this is my modus operandum.
I love doing it. I feel like I'm a kid at Halloween that's, it's not a flaming bag of dog poop. It's actually something good. I'm leaving a flaming bag of hope on somebody's porch and running away.
Yeah.
As though I knew nothing about it. I love being able to just drop into somebody's life and hopefully pivot them a couple degrees and have them see that ray of light coming through.
And it doesn't have to be a big pivot sometimes. Sometimes we just need that reminder, like, ooh, I'm having a bad day, but you know what? You are healthy today, or something that reminds you and really centers you. Many of us are, again, it's human nature. We're so programmed to focus on the empty glass or the part where we're not moving as fast as we want to. And that's how, I see it with entrepreneurs. This is how they end up really spiraling because, I didn't do this, and then I don't show up, and then they fall further behind, and then, maybe I'm not cut out with this. You know what? Maybe I'm going to go do that because that's new and exciting. And the stuff that I was doing, I wasn't doing great, so I'm going to drop it. But the reality is that every time you're pausing and going, you're ending up not moving anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this instant gratification, squirrel brain society, that I see that happen all the time. And, you know, and I'm a person, believe me, I'm a squirrel all the way. I have been my entire life, which has helped me in a lot of ways. But then I surround myself with coaches and mentors to keep me on track now.
Yeah.
So I see the signs of it. And I've got a digital clock on my desk upstairs in my office, digital kitchen clock. And I just tell myself for 20 minutes at a time, I do EFT tapping. And I say for 20 minutes at a time, I'm going to focus on this one task.
Yeah.
And when the distractions come up, which literally sometimes are squirrels because we have 2 new bird feeders in our backyard.
Fun.
I pull the shades down. I'm like, don't even look at the squirrels.
Yeah.
Write the article, do this, do the video, record a podcast, set up this meeting, write this new stage story, whatever. I now, I just focus even 20 minutes at a time and I become very productive.
I believe that we can do anything for 20 minutes. Yeah. And this is the thing. And by the way, I use an app, a Chrome extension called Momentum. And when I open the pretty screen, it actually allows me to set my 20-minute increments. And then it has a little alarm that says, hey, your 20 minutes are done. Go take a walk or stand up or whatever. And I like that a lot because, it's so easy to talk ourselves out of the thing because we think it's going to be long and boring. And I'm not sure where to start. If we just start, we can get momentum.
Yeah. And I also listen to the Calm app. I have it on my phone. We got a great deal on it this year. And I think it's short for calmtheheckdown.com, but they just couldn't get that URL. But I love it.
Yeah.
I really do because the music and the messaging is so targeted scientifically. I'm not a scientific guy. I'm a hippie in this world. Hippie minded. But I love that it works because it was designed by people who knew that. That's why doing what I do, people go, it's all very woo-woo. I'm like, I'm blue collar woo. I know what's going on behind the curtain. I'm not even going to explain to you what's happening at a cellular level, but we're going to roll up our sleeves. I've got these tools I've developed because it worked for me.
Right.
That's what I'll teach you. Just do this and watch what happens. So I try to unwoo everything I do. In the Calm app, I know that it's touching my brain in the right way. I don't care.
Yeah.
I care that I get the results.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times we don't realize, right, that there's so many different resources that we can leverage. And this is why I love that you're that cheerleader for your clients. And as a coach, really, that's one of the most important things that we do. You know what I call it here in the podcast, and I'm not taking credit for this, and people who listen to the podcast often know what I'm going to say. Those are what we call believing mirrors. Sometimes we don't see the greatness in us, and we need someone to reflect that and believe in us and borrow that belief so that we ourselves can do the thing that someone else believes we can. And I love being able to remind or just reflect to someone like, hey, you're so talented. You're so smart. You can do this and help them in that direction. And by the way, coaches need coaches. And that's why we also surround ourselves with other people who are like-minded and maybe a few steps ahead of us so that we can get those believing mirrors for ourselves.
Yeah. I love to actually do a smaller version of that in addition to my clients with strangers. The grocery store is my favorite place to have those moments. You know, I may see somebody walking around and then, you know, they may not have a smile on their face or they may be, you know, looking a little anxious or nervous or whatever. And I'll just look at them and I'll say, that is the coolest hat I've seen anybody wearing today. I couldn't pull that off myself, but you rock it. And I just wanted to let you know.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And they look at me like I'm a weird guy, but then I'll see them a couple aisles later and they smile again and point at me. And I go, I just smile and point back. And I'm like, ripples, a degree.
It's a ripple. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my mission is to just leave a trail of plus signs behind me everywhere I go every day, which includes this conversation. And the best part is I own the factory. I'm never going to run out of plus signs.
Oh, I think that everybody has a plus sign factory. We just need to maybe take out the cobwebs and open it up and start to produce those plus signs. And how amazing wouldn't it be for creating this incredible ripple effect with people that sometimes really are in that moment? And I know that, there's times, by the way, that people have had these moments with me and I hear, hey, just what you needed to hear. And yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I want to ask you about vision boards. I'm a fan.
Awesome.
You are, again, the vision guy. I want you to talk a little bit more about, do you do vision boards with your clients? What is the vision board for people who maybe don't know? And does it work?
Like anything else, it works if you work it and if you understand the mechanics of it. To me, and the coolest definition I've ever come up with that really resonated with my clients and my attendees, a vision board is a wall-mounted GPS for the rest and the best of your life.
Wow. That's good.
It's not, so many people go, Steve, I made a vision board, my first one ever. And I go, okay, send me the picture. And I already know what's on it. Lamborghini, a yacht, a mansion, a private jet, a helicopter, a big honking gold watch, and a bank vault full of gold bars and pallets of cash. And I always say, all right, I'm going to disclaim this right up front. There's not a single thing wrong with any of these. They go, okay. I go, but it's a glorified letter to Santa Claus. Ooh. Where are you in this? And then I introduce them to the life wheel. I say, okay, this is fine. This is money and material things, and that's great. Give me one goal for each of these other areas of your life. And all of a sudden they start to realize, oh, this is how I get there, and understand who I need to become and who I need to surround myself with, and education that I might need to get, and alignments, collaborations, and coaching and all of that. And what it is, it's a story for your entire life that you wish to be living and enjoying. And a big part of it is who you become, not just what you get. Like I said, nothing wrong with any of those things.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
And it works if you work it. You need to understand that, unlike The Secret. Now, I liked a lot of things about The Secret. The DVD version came out in the early 2000s. It was one of my first. I still have it somewhere.
I still have it.
What I didn't appreciate or didn't think they did properly, they had a genie in a magic lamp. And all that genie said throughout was, your wish is my command.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it's not a wish. It's becoming an active participant.
Right.
And you need to understand that where you are now, kind of like I said with the first exercise I do with people, evaluate where you are now, where you want to be 1 year from now. Don't start with the 20-year thing if you've never done this before. You're going to scare the heck out of yourself. Think of it like an old wooden roller coaster. I love old roller coasters. You start off at the parking lot level. Any one of your goals is at the top of that first hill. You can't start halfway up. You can't skip any steps. You have to get in. You have to surround yourself with the right people, because those don't hold a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then you go click, click,
click. Yeah.
Click,
what a great analogy.
Way. And when you've taken enough steps, and every once in a while, I want you to look over your shoulder and realize how far you've come. Because most people don't think they've, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything. I'm not any closer. When you get to the top and you look over, and your lungs fill up and your eyes get really big, and all of a sudden you have that moment and it goes over the top for a ride you couldn't stop if you tried. And when you get to the end, celebrate it, and then set your next level goal, or pick another one from your vision board. Get back in line. And when you do, here's your opportunity to coach. I believe everybody can be a coach. Look for somebody who's just as scared as you were when you started on your first ride.
Yeah.
Especially if they have a goal similar to what you just achieved, and say, hey, are you setting a goal like this? Yeah. Are you a little nervous? Yeah. Why don't you come and sit next to me? I want to tell you a story on the way out.
Oh, so good. You make me want to go to Coney Island and get on that roller coaster.
We've got one here in New Hampshire it's about 100 years old now.
Oh, where is it in New Hampshire?
It's in southern New Hampshire. I believe it's in the town of Salem. It's called Canopy Lake, and it's an old coaster called the Yankee Cannonball.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. Maybe Dan will take me there.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's right there in the parking lot. You can see it. And one of my keynote stage stories is the old wooden roller coaster. And there's a picture that I took in June of 2003, before I even became a speaker, even before the golf ball incident. The same exact day, my first wife and I agreed to get a divorce. I promised a friend of mine I was going to come to a chamber event at the amusement park. I was not in the mood to be amused.
Yeah.
I was scraping bottom. And I sat on this roller coaster in the first car, second row, and I looked up at the top of the hill. And for some reason, I took out my ancient flip phone and took a picture of it.
Yeah.
A year later, that picture inspired that entire roller coaster lesson. So, right place, right time.
Yeah.
Be aware, opportunity, and it's my most requested stage story.
Really? I love that. And I think that for us who are speakers, right, having this moment every day in which we can say, "Oh, how can this be a moment that I can share with others that they can come along in that ride with me?" So powerful. Many speakers listen to this podcast or aspiring speakers. You are a well-established one. And like you said, you have competed in Toastmasters and you also have an array of, stories. I don't have as much probably as you. I need to learn from you, but where do we start? How do we get ourselves to build that momentum so that we can become the person that is inspiring others and helping them kind of come along for the ride?
The first thing, and I go back to pen and paper, think of all the things you have survived in your life. And somebody asked me one time, Steve, how do you make up all those stories? And I do what I call the puppy head tilt. I tilt my head. I go, really? Have you not been paying attention the past 20 years? Believe me, I've gone through in and out of the fire, burnt off all my tail feathers over and over. My Phoenix rides a pogo stick. Every single time I've gone through something, it's become a lesson.
Wow.
And, we've got people out there that tell overtold tales like the starfish story and all these other things. We are so rich in material just by things that we've gone through and survived in our own lives. And all we need to do is document those. And it becomes almost like a Mad Libs. You punch in the problem and then you write your story around it. And if you've gone through it and you have a story of how you were here and then you fell to here, but then you clawed your way back to here and beyond, that can inspire people. So think of all the things that you've done. One of the things I tell my stories and I have people say, Steve, I could never admit that about myself. Well, then that may be one of your biggest stumbling blocks because I am 100% the same person on stage, off stage, backstage, standing on the street corner or walking down the Captain Crunch aisle at the grocery store. Same guy.
That's a consistent personal brand. And funny you bring this up. We were just talking about this in my mastermind. We meet every week and I have some incredible women. But one of the things that I was sharing with them is that we have to really be aware that if we don't have that authenticity and show up in the same way everywhere, then people know that. And it's not something that they can gain trust with because they're sort of duplicitous, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, early on, I tried to sound, poetic and everything with the memes and quotes I'd create. I mean, I've got hundreds of original quotes. And once in a great while on Facebook, it'll say, hey, Steve, 17 years ago, you published this. And I read it and I go, oh my gosh, what kind of guru riding a unicorn, farting glitter and rainbows across a blue sky is this? And then I'll read it and I'll say, you know what? I'm not going to bash myself for it because that's where I was at the time. So anytime I look back at my early stuff, I go, oh my gosh, that's adorable. Look at that. If I could print it out, my mom would put macaroni and glitter around the edge and hang it on her fridge. So I went from writing flowery stuff, trying to sound like other people, to messages like, don't let other people fart in your elevator. Meaning don't let other people wreck your energy, wreck the air around you, kick them out. And my favorite moment with that quote was somebody took a screenshot and sent it to me and said, oh my God, Steve, I was scrolling and I read this and I said, oh my gosh, Steve would love this. And then I scrolled down and realized you wrote it.
You wrote it. Oh my gosh.
And they said, I heard your voice actually saying it, which is why I sent it to you. So that, oh my gosh, when you hit your sweet spot like that and people get you and it's authentic and it just sweats right out of you.
Yeah.
That's your sweet spot. And when you hit it, keep working it like a muscle.
Yeah. So good. You remind me of a story. I've shared it in the podcast. I'm not going to go into the whole big story, but basically I was coming home from New York, and I used to do the commute, and I got stuck in traffic, and I was talking to my sister to kind of pass the time. And she doesn't have a lot of patience. And she said, why don't you just go eat somewhere? So I had her Google a place and send me. So I said, oh, you know what? No, I don't want to go there. I think I'm going to go for Salvadorian food. And I Googled the place. I went to the place. I got off the highway. And then I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, this place is amazing. And then she calls me. She's like, did you get there? I'm like, yes, I got to the place. And it's, oh my God, and the way I forgot what I said, it's a very quaint but yet savory place, and with something like that. And she's like, that's really funny. Someone did a review of that place just with those words, and then I realized that it was my review from like 3 years prior.
Oh,
could you
I
believe
love that?
Consistency.
That I goosebumped over that, and I do that. Boy, when it hits me just right, that you were supposed to be there. The Beatles wrote it best in "All You Need Is Love." It says, "There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love."
Yeah.
So in that moment, that's where you were.
Yeah, absolutely. You are, again, you do coaching one-to-one in groups. You are speaking. How do people leverage your expertise?
They go way back to basics, and they usually reach out in a DM.
Okay.
Or I'll get a call and say, hey, Steve, we're having a few people together, and this person told me I've got to bring you in.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. I would love to say I've got this massive marketing machine behind me, and I will at some point.
Yeah.
But right now, it's mostly word of mouth, and people reach out, and most things start with a simple conversation.
Love it.
Somebody will say, I hear you're the vision guy. I'm struggling with this. Okay, let's get on a call. And then they go, well, I go, it's not a sales call. I'm never going to be a guy that's like, rah, 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 buy my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just not. If we can have a simple conversation and I can leave you better than I found you, great. If that inspires you to hire me to work with you or get my vision board mastery program or present to a group of people you care about, awesome. But I just want to add value in the moment. And that's where it's all been for the past 20 years, virtually all word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, I think that the listeners today have gotten so much value from this conversation. You are a fun guest. You have to be one of these people that come back again and again because you inspire, and you're also doing some very cool stuff in the world. I always tell my listeners that listening is great. Implementing is better. So I want to really encourage and challenge the listeners that they should take something from this. Maybe you do the wheel of life. Maybe you think of a story. Maybe you start to go to the yes and as opposed to the but, and come up with something that you can implement in your life and kind of plant it into your life and start to grow a beautiful, beautiful tree. I am so grateful. Make sure that you, when you start implementing, reach out to Steve and tell him, hey, I heard you say this, and this is how it's affected my life. This is going to be a really great conversation. We're going to have all of your information on the show notes. Anything else that maybe I didn't connect or bring up in the conversation, Steve?
Just one final tip I'll leave, and we've kind of touched on it so many times. If you leave at least one situation per day better than you found it, you're going to be doing pretty well. And I learned that by observing one of my grandfathers. He never actually said the words. He just did it. And now I do it. And for people that say, I can't afford it, go rescue a shopping cart at a store that's been left behind without judgment of why it's there. I call it shopping cart rodeo. My record is 6 because I have long arms.
Oh.
Go do that. Or if you see somebody putting their last bag from their carriage into their car, especially if they're maybe a senior or they've got kids in the car, from a safe distance, ask, excuse me, would you like me to return that for you?
Yeah, that's nice.
10 years of doing that, no one's ever said no. Matter of fact, I did it earlier today.
Yeah, I love that. I think that the little things are sometimes the things that we don't pay attention to, but those are the things that really are incredible. and really
Plus
help
signs.
us. Amazing. Thank you, Steve, so much. We have all of his information in the show notes. Please make sure that you connect with Steve, give him some social currency, love his stuff, follow him, DM him, but not to sell him, just to tell him how wonderful he is. Thank you, Steve. You're incredible. And my friends, don't forget, as always, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Thanks for listening to Casa de Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to casadeconfidencepod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at goconfidentlycoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.